What's up, everyone? Thanks for joining me. Sorry, I have the bed set up today. So we're filming in a completely different spot today. I know the lighting is a little interesting in this room, so I do want to start by apologizing for that. Also, I am filming on my laptop, which I've never done before. I currently have the iMac Pro 2023 or 2024 model. I'm literally about to check while I'm chit-chatting with you. But this model was released, yes, 2023, 14-inch MacBook Pro. Wow. Guys, brain farts all the way. Good stuff. So, that being said, all of these fun little things happening in the background here. I have no idea what that was, but that was kind of cool. So today I'm coming at you with a slightly different video. We are doing our in the PJs vibes today. I don't know if the cat is joining us. Come here, Bells. Here, baby. Here, girl. She's on the bed, but I don't know if she wants to come join us or not. Any hoodles. Oh, that was her sneezing. Little sneeze. Little sneeze there. I wanted to come at you guys with a reading wrap up for the month of May. May was a very, very, very good reading month for me. Ended up reading 17 books altogether. Might break this up into part 1 or part 2, depending on how things go. This is Bella. Bella Luna. Her full name is Bella Luna. She is a lovely short hair American black cat, which currently she decides to show you guys her tail. So, that being said, lots of series were read this particular month. As we all know, in the month of May, they dropped the first half of the Bridgerton series, season 3 on Netflix. And so I was absolutely adamant that I will not watch the show until June, where they release the second half of the series, as well as being sure that I have completed the entire series. I was also in the middle of the Hopeless Chestnut Spring, not Hopeless, what is the first one? Flawless Chestnut Springs series, which is obviously the Western vibes, cowboy romance, written by Elsie Silver, which has been celebrated and talked about all over the internet. I read the first book, Flawless, while I was reading for February. We went through a whole month of only reading books with pink covers. It was particularly enjoyable for me. So while I was reading that book, I felt like the rest of the books couldn't be read yet because they weren't pink. But I decided that I would finish up the series. I was also in the middle of the Magnolia Parks universe. Those books, unfortunately, I feel like I can't just read back to back to back to back because Jessa Hastings has this way of writing a drama which is highly entertaining, so much fun to read. There's actually very little spice openly talked about in the book. There's a lot of hints at spice. There's a lot of discussion surrounding sex, drugs, all these different crazy topics. Definitely not what I would call high school kosher. But the nice thing is, like, she does it in a poetic way almost, and she never says anything explicitly, which is nice. You want to come up? Yes, you. You want to come up? Come here. Come here. Yeah, baby. We'll see if she comes up. The other cat is also here. So just so you guys know what I'm looking at right now, this is Bella Luna, who's hanging out with me. And there's Minerva Taco right there, popping her head in. But yeah, so she's just kind of like meowing and making noises in the background. If that's what you hear, it's the little one, so I do apologize. Anyways, coming back to it. So Magnolia Parks, can't read all of them in a row all the time just because I feel like the books do have certain dark twists. Magnolia Park The Long Way Home was particularly hard for me, especially after the ending. There's something that happens with one of the characters that was particularly devastating for me, and so I'm not quite ready to jump into Daisy Hates yet. And she has this way of writing the novels where you have to read the books in order. So you read Magnolia Parks first, then you read Daisy Hates, then you read Magnolia Parks Into the Dark. No, I lied. Magnolia Parks The Long Way Home. Wow. Then the second Daisy Hates book, which is The Great Undoing, I believe. And then the last one is Magnolia Parks Into the Dark, which is the most recent book that was just released. And she does have a few more books in the Daisy Hates selections that's coming out as well. So I am curious to see what happens with that. This is the second kitty. This is our second kitty. This is Miss Minchu Taco right here. Yes, she is. Want to say hi? Want to say hi, boobies? So yeah, she's in a mood too. She's our little cuddly cat. She might join us for the rest of the video. Yeah, you want to sit on the pillow? You want to sit with me? Yes, my sweet girl. Yes, my sweet baby girl. So that is one of those series where definitely enjoy every single word of every single book, and she has this way of writing it where you're like there for the characters, but you're also like, I would never wish this romance upon anyone, but their love, you can feel the love between the characters. And so the way that Magnolia Park's The Long Way Home ended physically hurt. I am not ready to jump into Daisy Hates The Great Undoing yet. So I will probably be reading that some point this month. I don't know when. But it will probably be featured in my TBR. So anyways, read that. Then I also read Funny Story by Emily Henry, which Emily Henry is one of my absolute favorite authors. And this is the newest book that she released back in April. So I was like, it's already May. I got to get to this book. So really enjoyed that. And then the two books that I read for book club, the first one was the Honey Creek Cafe. What is it called fully? Breakfast at the Honey Creek Cafe, which is a cozy murder mystery. I've never really read cozy murder mysteries before. Apparently I have, actually. Dial A for Aunties is apparently a cozy murder mystery, which I did not know. And then I think there's also one that was released on Book of the Month. Something in Adobo. That one is also, I think, cozy murder mysteries. But I was very unaware that there was this complete subgenre that was based on this concept of cozy murder mysteries, but really enjoyed this one. So read that as well for book club. And then last but not least, read A Fate Inked in Blood. So very excited to have that discussion as well. That is our book club that we do online. It's called the Overbooked Book Club. For anyone who is interested in joining, we have votes at the beginning to middle of every month for the upcoming novels. And then we usually have discussions once a month at the end of the month, or sometimes the first week of the following month, depending on life situations and the polls that people vote on. This particular book, A Fate Inked in Blood, for those who are interested, we will be discussing on this upcoming Sunday, so Sunday the 9th. So I am excited for that. But without further ado, let's hop into the books. To start with, I wanted to start us off with the Elsie Silver series. Because that was kind of early on in the month for me. So first up, we have Heartless. Now, Heartless is Cade's story and Willa's story. Willa is the best friend to Summer, who is the main female protagonist in the first book in the series, Flawless. And then Cade is the brother of Rhett, who is the main male character in the Flawless book. And so this one I think is very entertaining. It's not quite enemies to lover. What would I call it? I would call it grumpy sunshine trope. It's also really fun because there is a kid in this book, and I think unlike most books where the kid doesn't really add much value to the story, in this one the kid actually does. So it was actually fun to see a kid that was in the book that actually added to the story and had personality and vibes of his own. And it was just really nice to see the found family in this book once again. Absolutely love this book. Solid 4.5 stars. I would definitely recommend this book. Next up, I had Powerless. Powerless follows the adopted brother in the series. His name is Jasper. He was basically adopted by the Eaton clan, who are the main male character protagonists in this series. And then it has Sloane, who is the Eaton's direct cousin. So childhood lovers is kind of what this trope was. This one, again, just like these are the special edition covers. And let's just take a moment to appreciate how beautiful these covers are. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. We're not going to go to the laptop. So really love these covers. And then if you look at the interiors of the book, they have these like beautiful depictions on the chapters of the first the first page of every chapter, and it has something that is related to the theme of the female and the male protagonist. So in this one, it has the lovely ballet slippers, which is just absolutely stunning. And that's because Sloane happens to be a ballet dancer and Jasper happens to be a professional hockey player. But loved this one. This one was very much a 4-star read for me. Not quite that 5-star, but I really enjoyed it. Loved the characters in this book. Loved the found family, loved the vibes of this story, would definitely recommend. Then next up I have Reckless. Reckless is following the sister of Summer, who is the main girl in the Flawless series. Then we have Theo, who is Rhett's protege, and next up on the bull riding circuit, he wants to make it really big, and it's an accidental pregnancy trope. I loved this book. I usually hate accidental pregnancy tropes, but this one was surprisingly really good. I loved the relationship between the two main characters. I loved the relationship between all the found family. I loved the relationship between Summer and Winter and the exploration of that. This one was the 5-star read for me. Would definitely recommend this book. I loved this book. Then we have the last one in the series, which is Hopeless. Again, absolutely stunning book. And then, of course, the interior, the chapters, pages are just gorgeous. So on this, you have the tags, the military tags, because Beau is ex-military and comes back, is suffering from PTSD, ends up kind of dating the girl from the wrong sides of the tracks. So it's really fun to see his relationship with Bailey. Bailey is absolutely a sweetheart. She's a hard worker. She does odd jobs and ends to make things meet. She has the worst siblings and family dynamics possible. They are known to be like rowdy in the town. They are considered like the losers of the town. So the Jensens in general are just not respected, and poor Bailey has to suffer through that and trying to get out of town. And so this one was also slightly Grumpy Sunshine vibes, but it also kind of reminded me of Beauty and the Beast vibes. I don't know why. That's just the feeling I got, because like she's like the girl who's trying to get out of the provincial town, and like her association with her family is just like so negative. And then he is like the Beastie Boy, who is also a prince. Actually, I lied. This has nothing to do with Beauty and the Beast. It's just in my head. Somehow I've made that connection. Completely inaccurate sentiment. Completely. But this is fake dating relationship trope. Really enjoyed this book. Loved it. This was also a solid 5-star read for me. So overall, we have one 4-star read, which was Flawless, which I did not read this month, but part of the series. Then we had Heartless, which is a solid 4.5 for me. Then we had Powerless, which was 4 stars. Then we have Reckless, which is 5 stars for me. And we have Hopeless, which is 5 stars for me. So for anyone who's in the market for a cowboy romance series, would definitely recommend Elsie Silver's books. I think they're so much fun. They're very captivating, and the found family vibes and the different tropes are done very well. I think Elsie Silver just knows how to do a romance. All the books do have spice. So just as a heads up, there's at least 2, maybe 3 chapters per book that do have spice. They can be skipped. They won't take away from you understanding the storyline if you wanted to skip those chapters. So very doable to just skip the chapters, but I would give it a solid 3.5 chili rating in terms of spice. Then we have Breakfast at the Honey Creek Cafe. Now, Breakfast at the Honey Creek Cafe is such a fun little book. This one is the one where it's a cozy murder mystery. So basically, the mayor of the town is loved by everyone. She is the granddaughter of the previous mayor, who the town absolutely adores. And so she is trying to make her way in the world. She was associated with this questionable guy where everyone was like kind of rumoring that they might be dating, and then he goes missing. So her brother, who is a Texas Ranger, sends someone to assist her to flush out the details of what's going on. That is a fake dating trope that's going on there between the guy that he sends, who's in the training academy to become a ranger, and the mayor, Piper. Then you also have Sam, who is a gentleman kind of wandering into town, trying to come back to his roots and figure out what he wants to do. He is kind of lost and decides to take on the position of the pasture. He ends up crossing paths with the town diehard, gonna be a part of every social committee, gonna support every single cause, feisty little redhead. And then you have their story. And then you're also following the story of two youngsters. One is basically trying to get out of town, and then the other one is the Sunshine Golden Knee daughter of the rich family who is popular and well celebrated in high school. And the story kind of follows all three of these couples and how their paths interact while they try to figure out where this supposed missing dead man is that Piper is supposedly dating. So overall, very, very fun. Definitely more romance than murder mystery. I think the purpose of the murder mystery is really just to allow the characters to come into focus together near the end of the book. I love the fact that the town is its own personal, its own personal character. I just think the town is such a fun added component to this storyline. I love all the quirks to the story. Very, very Gilmore Girls vibe. So if you're into Gilmore Girls and that small town vibe, Heart of Dixie, those types of shows, would definitely recommend this book. Gave this a solid 4 stars from me. Next up, we have Magnolia Parks, The Long Way Home. My bad. With Magnolia Parks, I love the fact that she talks everything fashion. I am very into fashion. I don't really post about fashion on this channel because this channel is more about books and reading, of course, and I don't really plan on doing a true fashion channel, but I will probably have some interspersed video content here and there that talks about fashion, especially with this being my birthday month. So I will definitely do a birthday haul video for you guys, which also includes some of the books that I got as well as other items. But that being said, I love the fact that she talks so much fashion in this, and I always tab the fashion lines in yellow for anything that stands out to me. And then anything in pink is basically quotes that stood out to me. So I just love this book, and I love this series in general. I love Jessa Hastings' writing. I just think she has a beautiful way of talking about very mundane day-to-day things, and I think the way she describes what's going on in Magnolia's and BJ's head, the way that they communicate to each other with their eyes, just the different characters in the story, you really fall in love with the entire crew, the entire box set, honestly. And so thoroughly enjoy this series. Would definitely recommend to anyone and everybody who is interested in reading this series. Yes. What can I do for you? Yes, Miss Sting. Yes, Miss Goobers. Miss Goobernikas. Next up, we have Funny Story by Emily Henry. 5-star read for me. Absolutely loved this book. Now, this book has a very interesting premises. I've never really seen anything like this before. But basically, the concept of the story is the main character, Daphne, is about to get married to her fiance, Peter. And then Peter goes off on a bachelor trip and comes back saying, hey, I want to break apart our relationship and I don't want to go through the wedding because I'm now going to start dating my best friend, Petra, who is his childhood best friend, and they never really had a go. And so now Daphne is essentially evicted out of her home and no longer is getting married. She has nowhere to go. She doesn't know what she's going to do. She still has a job in the town. And so somehow she finds herself living with her ex-fiance's new girlfriend's ex-boyfriend, Miles. And so Daphne and Miles are just kind of going through the PTSD of their breakups and trying to figure out their own ways in the world. I love their chemistry. I love their friendship. I absolutely adore this story. I think for anyone who just loves anything in terms of Emily Henry's writing, you will enjoy this one as well. The characters are well developed. The plot lines... the plot lines are done so well. I absolutely loved the fact that every single character is fleshed out, even the side characters. And I like the fact that both the characters, Miles and Daphne, are going through their own versions of growing up as well as finding themselves. So if you are interested in something like that, you should definitely pick this book up. Another solid 5-star out of the park book for me. I don't think there's a single Emily Henry book that I've rated below a 4 stars. Most of them are 5 stars, and this one did not fail me either. So I would definitely recommend this to anyone who's looking for a fun, fast-paced romance that's just going to give you all the feels. Next up, I have A Fate Inked in Blood. Now, A Fate Inked in Blood is a book of the month choice that came out back in March. It was also the book that was selected by our book club, the Overbooked Book Club, to discuss this month. This is rooted in Norse mythology, so you see a lot of Thor, Loki, like those types of gods referenced. The concept of the story is it's following this mortal girl who happens to be blessed by the gods, but she's been told to keep this under wraps, so no one knows that she's been blessed by the gods. The gods basically bless mortals by providing a drop of their blood in the infant. And so the infant then has control over certain powers that are blessed to them by the gods. It also makes them, quote unquote, the fateless. So the belief is that day-to-day human beings have a fate that's predestined and determined. And then you have the actual gods, who themselves are extremely powerful, obviously, and can meddle in the ways of man, but can't necessarily affect free will. And then you have the fateless, which are these characters who have drops of God's blood in them, essentially making them demigods, where they're not quite human, they're not quite gods, and therefore they now have entrance of the concept of free will into their life and the idea that their destiny is not preordained. So that is the concept of this story. It follows the character, the main character in this book, Freya, as well as her love interest Bjorn, throughout their journey as the Jarl of the town discovers that she is the woman that he's been looking for the past 25 years, who's going to lead him to glory. There are lots of parts of this book that were extremely enjoyable. There was also lots of parts of this book that just frustrated me to no end. I'm really interested in seeing what the second book has to offer, though. I think the way that this book ended was absolutely fascinating, and I think it'll be very curious to see Freya's character development in the second book, as well as her relationship to Bjorn and everything else that's going on in the story. I can't give much more detail than that. It is an adventure-themed book. It's very fast-paced. It's very fun. It's definitely a romantasy vibe. So if you like Fourth Wing, if you liked, what else? If you liked ACOTAR, if you liked, I mean, it's not as heavy as, it's not as heavy as ACOTAR was, but it does have a lot of that vibe as well. If you enjoyed, what else? If you like Lord of the Rings, like, any of those type of genres, those type of books, it's definitely more romantasy vibes. There is spice in this book for sure. I would actually give it a solid 3.5, 4-star spice, because a lot of scenes are described in detail. But the adventure part of it is quite fascinating, and it is a fast-paced read. So this is by Danielle Jensen, A Fate Inked in Blood. Solid 4-star read for me. Looking forward to the next one. And yeah, that's all I'm going to say about it, so I don't give anything else away. Then we have the rest of the Bridgerton books. So in that same video where I read the first book in the Chestnut Springs series, which is Flawless, basically my pink month for February, I also happened to read The Duke and I. I absolutely love The Duke and I originally got introduced to Bridgerton through the show, not through the books. And I remember falling in love with the first season. I think I binge watched it within a day, like literally stayed up all night finishing that series. And then season 2 obviously came out, enjoyed that as well. Really didn't understand Kate and Antony's relationship, had a hard time buying into the chemistry. But now that I've read the book, I fully understand why they filmed it the way they did. And I think Shonda Rhimes is absolutely brilliant. And now that Penelope and Colin's story has been released, I am very excited to watch that. But I decided that there was no way in heck that I was going to watch the Bridgerton episodes without having read the books first, especially when I have the beautiful, beautiful Illumicrate versions of these books. So I decided to dig in. We started with the Viscount Who Loved Me, which is Antony's story. This story, I think the physical book version of this was much better than the TV show personally, because I was able to enjoy the characters more. I do think I'd enjoy the series more as well if I go back and watch that season. So the plan is to rewatch all the seasons of Bridgerton that have been released and then start the third season when I am able to watch the full set of episodes. So I know that they're planning on dropping the second half of the episodes in June, so I will be watching that as well. Ooh, madam, we don't scratch. No scratchy. Yes, I'm sorry. No scratchy though. So this was The Viscount Who Loved Me. This was the Viscount Who Loved Me. This was a solid 4-star read for me. Then we have the third book in the series, which is Benedict and Sophie's story. This story has not been turned into a series on the TV show yet, but my understanding is it will be coming at some point soon. Julia, when I had the very, very great pleasure of meeting Julia Quinn and watching an interview with her and having her sign all the books, she did mention that there is plans to do the entire 8-book series as a show, and she anticipates that the next season will be coming out soon. She said that the scripts are already being written and the filming should take place soon. So I don't know who it's going to be about, but most likely Benedict. This book follows the characters of Benedict and Sophie. The best way to describe this is a retelling of Cinderella. I think it was very well done. However, this book I think was a little too predictable for me. This book also was a bit of a struggle because the evil stepmother was like truly evil, like to a point where I was like, this doesn't sound realistic to me. And I think some of the crazy things that happened at the end were just a little much. That being said, I did really enjoy Sophie and Benedict's relationship, and it was very fun to read, but definitely more in the sense of a solid 3-star read for me. Next up, we have Penelope and Colin's story. This is Romancing Mr. Bridgerton. I abso-freaking-lutely adore this book, and it just is like added bonus that this is the book that happens to be green, because green is my favorite color. But love this book. Solid 5-star read. That's all I'm going to say about this book, because I think it'd be more fun to read the book and then watch the season and see how they compare. I will probably do a video that's dedicated to just watching the 3 seasons that have been released and then comparing them to the 3 books that have been released and kind of seeing what my thoughts and takes are in regards to that. But I loved this book. 5-star read. Next up, we have Eloise's story, To Sir Philip with Love. Now, I did enjoy this one quite a bit too, and I think it's also wonderful that it's in blue. So basically, all my favorite books were in the color schemes that I love, which is great, because we had The Duke and I, which was my absolute favorite, in pink. Then we had Penelope and Colin in green. Then we have Eloise in blue, and then we have kitty cat here. And then we have Francesca's story in purple. But loved this book. Loved this trope as well. Grumpy Sunshine, and also the fact that, you know, you have the romantic aspect using the concept of the letters. That was really fun to see. So really enjoyed this book. Would definitely recommend, and was probably one of my favorites in the series. Solid 5-star read for me. Next up, we have Francesca's story, When He Was Wicked. This one was also very unique. I like Francesca's character a lot. I like her having to deal with the fact that she's a young widow, and then looking at her from that perspective, especially during the time period and generation when women's entire focus was on having children and getting married, but they still wanted to be seen as an individual. So finding someone who appreciates you, understands you, loves you, but also getting past that concept of forbidden romance and second chance romances. Like, I just loved this book. Again, just beautiful cover as well with the blooms, considering the fact that it all takes place primarily in the country house. So would definitely recommend this one as well. This one is probably my 3rd favorite in the entire series. So Duke and I, and then I would say Romancing Mr. Bridgerton, and then I would say When He Was Wicked, and then To Sir Philip with Love is kind of so far the order of the books in my favorites that I would say. Then we have Hyacinth's story. It's In His Kiss. This one kind of has an adventure take on it. Hyacinth is definitely the Bridgerton who is the most outgoing, the most like volatile in terms of speaking her mind, but also being super confused about whom she should actually end up with. And I think watching her and Garrett's story was very entertaining. I also just, in every single book, love Violet Bridgerton. I have enjoyed every single one of these books because of Violet Bridgerton and her takes on life and the commentary she says to her children as they're going through these interesting phases in their life where they're finding love and they're finding their person and they're growing up. It's just so nice to see a mom like her where she can read her children, say exactly what's right with no judgment, but at the same time guide them as they need to seek guidance while fully letting them know that she has their back and will support them. So really, really enjoyed that. I think this book was just so much fun. I loved the ending of this book as well. I love the fact that the things that they're looking for, which you may guess from the cover is jewels, ends up being discovered at the very end of the book in the most unexpected way. But overall, really enjoyed this book too. Gave this one more of a 3.5 star from me. And then last but not least, we have On the Way to the Wedding, which is Gregory's story. Again, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful cover. I really enjoyed Gregory and Lucinda's story. I do think by the end, things got a little out of hand between him basically having to kidnap his own bride. So things got a little wacky there in the middle, but I did really enjoy his story and the concept that, there's lust at first sight and then there's love, and they're two different concepts. It was really nice to see his story and his interactions with Lucinda. And I thoroughly enjoyed this book as well. This one was a solid 3.8 stars for me. It wasn't quite a 4-star. It wasn't quite a 3-star, but would definitely recommend. Altogether, I would say the Bridgerton series for me is a solid 5-star. That's kind of where most of the books tend to end up. If I had to be more specific or proper, probably a 4.75 stars series. But overall, I was just really thrilled to have read such wonderful series and such wonderful books. Again, like I said, really, really good reading month for me. It definitely helps when the books fly by and they're so enjoyable. But loved the Bridgerton books, loved the Chestnut Springs series, love Magnolia Parks as always. Surprisingly, really enjoyed the book club books, both of them as well. And then also loved Emily Henry's Funny Story. So 17 books read, 17 check marks across the board, about 5 or 6 5-star reads for me. So I would say Jaysher came out doing well this particular month. But as always, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for tuning in to see what I had to read. Hopefully this inspires you and gives you ideas on books to read. If any of these books strike your fancy and you were like, oh my gosh, I've read a book like that, and if she said she likes that, she will probably like this, please leave it in the comment below. I'm always open to suggestions. I'm always looking to read more. June is going to be a more eclectic reading month. It might be a little bit lighter as well, just because we do have lots of plans over the weekends and things like that, with it being the birthday month. But I am very excited to tap into that as well. We are also hitting some classics this June, so really, really excited to read Persuasion. I'm also planning on tackling Vanity Fair, if I can get to it, and a couple of other books. So stay tuned for that TBR, and we can see when we roll out the end of the month what we were actually able to read. I also have hopefully some exciting books getting shipped in this month. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, they get in this month for me to read them. It is a young adult series, special edition versions of the book, so super, super keen on reading those. And then also have some new releases by some favorite authors, which are coming in as well. So really excited to read those. So overall, June is going to be a very eclectic month. I have at least 10 books on the TBR right now. Not sure how many we'll get through, but I'll definitely keep you guys posted. As always, please consider hitting that subscribe button and that notification bell if you like any bookish content and want to be a part of the bookish community here. But I would love to see you again, and we have more videos available on the playlist if you are interested in watching, which should be on the screen for you guys now. And I look forward to talking to you soon. Bye, guys.